Hi, my name's Aaron Curry, and in this video series, I'm going to show you why you can stop worrying about your pension when you build a buy-to-let portfolio in the coming house price crash. And I'll show you how you can buy 2 to 10 houses at rock bottom prices so you cash in on the biggest discounts since 2009 without sacrificing time with your family or creating a second job for yourself. And ultimately, I'm going to show you how you can write a retirement date today that's less than 10 years away because you'll have a bigger lifetime income than £1 million pension would give you, thanks to my unique 6 C's system. Now that's a lot to cover, which is why there are 4 videos in this series. Now, before we go any further, I'd just like to explain why the video quality is not really what I'd want it to be. You know, we're coming out of lockdown, we've still got local lockdowns going on, so we still need to keep our distance from each other. So I can't work with a videographer. So it's just me with my laptop and a webcam. So if you want to know how you can buy 2 to 10 houses in the coming house price crash, so you can cash in on the biggest discount since 2009 without sacrificing time with your family or creating a second job for yourself, and if the information is more important to you than the video quality, then you'll love this 4-part video series. Now, in the first video, I showed you why the house prices are going to fall 5 to 10% in October or November of this year. If you haven't seen that video, then click on the link to the right of this video or somewhere around the video and go and watch it now, right now. In the second video, I showed you how to turn 3 houses today into a 50k per annum income in just 5 years. So you can reach your income goals faster than you dare to dream. Plus, I showed you how my golden rules also make you income tax, capital gains tax, and inheritance tax efficient. If you want property to give you a luxury retirement and a legacy for your kids and your grandkids, then you need to watch that second video now. Again, click the link and go and watch that video first if you haven't watched that already. In the third video, I showed you how ordinary, hard-working people completely changed their life with property investing when they got somebody else to build a buy-to-let portfolio for them. You see, I meet thousands of people every year with the same story. They've invested in property for 5 to 10 years and they've got 1 or 2 properties. These are hard-working people that know that property is the only guaranteed way to retire in 10 years or less, and between work and family and other commitments, they haven't made the progress that they wanted in their property journey. And as a father of 5, I completely understand the challenge of juggling work, juggling family, and then making sacrifices to build a property portfolio. And that's why I wanted to share with you the stories of 3 property investors that stopped beating themselves up about the pedestrian growth in their portfolio and what they did to give themselves a luxury retirement income in 10 years or less. So again, if you've not watched that video, video 3 in the series, somewhere around here is the link. Go watch video 3. Now, in today's video, I'm going to show you how to use my golden rules to buy world-class properties. These are houses with high rental demand, good monthly cash flow, and strong equity growth. All things that you need. These are the 3 things you need to make your buy-to-let portfolio profit from monthly cash flow, plus 2 other kind of secret sauce ways. When your portfolio profits from all 3 ways that I teach, your portfolio will put 4 times more cash in your pocket. So you can enjoy a luxury retirement income in less than 10 years. When I say luxury retirement income, I mean a bigger lifetime income than £1 million pension pot would give you. Now, before I show you how to use my golden rules, let me tell you the hair-raising story of how I discovered them. I started out in property just by reading a book. So 20 years ago, you may have heard this story before, I read a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And I read the book, if you don't know, it's a concept book. It's not a how-to book, it's a concept book. But I'm someone who takes massive action. So I've read the book, I'm like, I've got to do this, got to do this. I find someone else with money, I put the effort and the time in, and we go buy some houses. And I take massive action. The challenge is I don't actually have a clue what I'm doing. So now I'm buying properties with somebody else's money, and these properties are not good performers. I'm getting tenants that don't pay the rent. I'm getting tenants that trash my properties. In fact, let me tell you a story. second or third property. I think it was the third property I ever bought. And I'm getting cocky here. I'm like, these auction things, I start getting some auction magazines. I'm like, these auction things look cool. There's some cool properties for sale in these auctions. And at the time I lived in Scarborough, in North Yorkshire on the East Coast. It's where my head office is based, 50 people working there in my head office. And that's where I was based. And I'm looking at these property auctions and I'm thinking, this sounds pretty cool. These deals are amazing. And I find this particular deal, and it's in an area of Leeds, which is about 60 miles from me back then, called Chapeltown. And I don't know Chapeltown, I don't know Leeds that well, but in the brochure, it's £22,000. This house has been split into two kind of flats. There's two tenants in there. One has the ground floor, one has the first floor. And the rental yield is above 30%. So the rent is over 6,500 and it's going to cost me £22,000 to buy it. I'm like, that is amazing. That is amazing. Now, at the time, I was busy as a mortgage broker. That was my day-to-day job at the time. So at the time, I go, do you know what? I need to buy this, this investment property. This is just an unbelievable return. So I decide to bid at the auction on the phone. And I bid on the phone and I get to secure this property for £22,000. But I'm so cocky, or so misled, should I say, but I'd say cocky. I'd not even gone and seen the house. I'm buying this house. It's only the third one I've ever bought. I've not even gone and seen it. Okay. So now I buy the property. I take over control of the property. And there's two tenants in it, supposedly. So I write to the tenants. I say, hey, I've taken over as a landlord. Will you start paying me the rent? No reply. Nothing comes back. Okay. 2-3 weeks pass. I write another letter, I think. I've rung the phone numbers I'd been given, which don't work. 2-3 weeks pass. And I think, do you know what? This is a problem. I'm going to have to get in the car and go and see this property and see the tenants and get them to change the housing benefit over to them so they pay it to me instead. So it's week 5 by the time I get to drive down there. And at the time, I had my son Adam with me in the car. And Adam is 6 or 7 years old, okay? We drive down, and as I arrive in Chapeltown, there's kind of gangs stood around on the street corners. It's not feeling very salubrious. And I turn down Chapeltown, I drive down Chapeltown, pull up outside the house that I've bought, and literally on the windows, there are bars on the windows, bars to stop people breaking the windows and breaking in. There's bars on the windows. And all the houses up and down the street have got bars on, and there's a group just back up the street, 100 yards away, stood on the street corner that look pretty rough. And I am in a state now because I'm like, I need to go in and speak to these tenants to sort out my rent. But I've got Adam in the car. He's 6 or 7 years old. I'm like, I don't really want to leave him here. I'm not sure I want to take him into this house with bars. I don't even want him seeing houses with bars. Do I take him in? Do I leave him in the car? What do I do? Cut a long story short, I end up deciding to lock him in the car. And I leave him in the car and I'm hurrying into the house to go find my tenants to sort out the rent. So as I get to the front door of the house and go to let myself in, and the door pushes open and I go into the ground floor first, deserted, totally deserted. There's no one in there. So basically I don't have 2 tenants. I have 1 tenant. Okay. My yield just dropped in half, and all around the floor is drugs paraphernalia, needles, stuff like that. I've never really seen that kind of stuff. So I'm not really sure what it is, but I know it doesn't look good and I can see needles. So this is drug paraphernalia. Okay. So I'm now feeling even worse. Adam's back outside. I look out the door. He's still there. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And I go up the stairs. I'm shouting, hello, 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 anybody there? I go up the stairs. I get up the stairs and I open a door which opens up into what is in effect that person's lounge. And there are 6 big, massive guys sat on chairs in this squashed up lounge, sat in there with a load of smoke in the sky. And I'm like, oh, I can't remember the tenant's name, maybe Richard, but Richard, is Richard here? Is Richard here? Is Richard here? Eventually this guy goes, yeah, man, I'm Richard. I'm like, cool, Richard, you're the tenant, yeah? He goes, yeah, man, yeah. And he's smoking this stuff, okay. And I'm like, Richard, listen, I'm the new landlord. You're the tenant. All I need you to do, if you wouldn't mind, is go down to Housing Benefit tomorrow and tell them that I have taken over the landlords from the previous one so they start paying the rent to me instead of to you. You didn't even need to pay me anything. You just need to go and tell the council to pay me instead. Will you please go do that? Yeah, man, I'll do it tomorrow, man. I'll do it. He is sky high on wacky backy. Okay, I didn't even know what wacky backy was really back then. I'm probably sky high, having been in there for a couple of minutes I'm just trying to speak to them to take some action. And you can imagine it did not go in and no action ever happened. All 6 of them were sky high on wacky backy or pot or whatever you call it. Okay. So bottom line, I get back in the car with Adam, who thankfully is still safe. I drive away as fast as I can. I've got a house that's given me 0 yield, 0. I've bought this investment and the return is nada, nothing. I go back home, I drive to Scarborough, it's 60, 70 miles away. I'm sat in Scarborough, I'm like, flipping heck, what do I do now? This is a disaster for me. And I'm wondering what to do. And another week or 2 or 3 passes because I'm busy with work and everything else. And I'm having to pay the mortgage. I'm losing money on this investment now. It's not an investment, it's a de-investment. It's going downhill. Eventually, a few weeks later, the phone rings. It's Saturday night in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m. in the morning. And it's the fire brigade in Leeds on the phone. I'm like, hello, I'm all croaky. Hello. Like, hi, is Aaron Curry? Yeah. Aaron, I've got some bad news. Okay. Do you own this property in Chapeltown? Yeah, that's mine. I need to let you know, they've had a big drugs party at the property. And they've set it on fire and the property's actually burnt down. I'm like, wow. What do you need me to do? He says, well, there's nothing you can do. It's burnt down. You can come and have a look at it and you can let us know it's yours, which you have done, but it's literally burnt down. So I've now not only got no money coming in, they've had a massive drugs party. They've burnt the property down. This is my 2nd or 3rd investment of my portfolio. This is a horrific situation. Horrific. By the way, I missed a bit of the story. In between that and it burning down, I thought I need to get the ground floor refurbished so I can rent that back out again. I need real needles and everything. So I ring the builder that I know in the area that's recommended to me by another landlord. The builder goes around, refuses to work on the house, refuses A, to leave his van in that area, and B, to go in the property because of all the needles. He can't have his team working on it. It's not safe. Not safe. It's just going from bad to worse. It's a disaster. And now the thing's burnt down. Now I'm going to finish the story off the way the story finishes. And if this finish hadn't have happened, maybe I never would have kicked on. Maybe I never would have ended up with the 200 properties I've got now, helping hundreds of thousands of people every year to invest in property, having helped 1,000 people buy their next investment property or lots of investment properties to build financial freedom and build their portfolios. Maybe that never would have happened. Luck caught me. A rising property market at the time and luck. The property had burnt down. The insurance company paid me out £5,000 or £6,000. I don't have the exact figures to hand. And I've got this burnt down shell. I put the property back in the auction because I don't have a clue what to do with it. No builders will go. It's miles away. I'm kind of lost. I put it back in the auction and it sells in the auction for £20,000 because the market's been rising. Somebody else sees the opportunity and buys it. I now have £20,000 plus £6,000, £26,000. I invested 22 to start with. Had some costs along the way. I made a small profit. If that hadn't have happened, which I didn't deserve, by the way, because I had no knowledge it was a disaster, probably would have quit. Probably could have quit right then. Thank goodness it did happen, but I had luck on my side. It was the rising market that saved me. I was a newbie making massive mistakes. Now, I'm not saying you're going to make those types of mistakes, okay? You're not maybe going to be as crazy as I was, but bottom line, I'm sure you'd agree. If you've not done this 50 times before, there'll be stuff you don't know. If you've not done this 50 times before, you're going to make mistakes. It's just how bad's the mistake going to be? Is it going to be a tens of thousands of mistake? Is it going to be a thousands of mistake? Or would it be a mistake that you get a deal that makes you a bit of money instead of a lot of money? You might have already bought some, but are not as good as they should be. You're not getting the returns that you should be. You're not able to get financially free with just 6 properties, for example. Okay. So I learned from those mistakes. I got serious about things. I got a real shock. I got serious about things. The first 10 houses I bought were not a success for me. But then I got serious and I focused and I found the best in the world that I could find, or the best in the UK, and I learned from them and I modeled what they were doing. And then I took each of the bits they were doing and I created what I call my 6 C's. My 6 C's are designed so I only ever buy world-class investment properties. It's a real simple system, a simple checklist that you can follow. And when you finish this video, there'll be a report you can grab with this information in it, but a checklist that you can follow that makes sure that every property that I ever have bought for my own portfolio since that day, And every property we've ever bought for our done for you clients at the Insight Group, over 1,000 properties and counting, okay, is outstanding and delivers outstanding results in 6 key areas. And it's these rules, by the way, that mean that we reject at the Insight Group. We look at 100 houses and we reject 99 out of 100. Most people go and view 5, or maybe look at 10 online, view to 3 to 5 and buy 1. You might have done that, okay? Imagine if you had to choose your life spouse like that. Looked at 10 online, met with 5, had to choose 1. If you're not laughing, by the way, maybe that's how you chose them, okay? But if you're to, it'd be a disaster. And it's the same in property. Why do people wonder why they get bad results when that's how they work? So what I'd like to do is share with you these golden rules, these 6 C's that just get you outstanding results every time. If you're only going to buy 6 to 10 properties and you're going to get on and buy them now, get the rules under your belt so you buy the right ones. So what I've done just before lockdown, literally the day before me and my family locked down, which was before the lockdown, I had a videographer at my house and we shot a video where I covered the 6 C's. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into that video now. You'll see me sat, I think I was at my kitchen table. You'll see me sat at my kitchen table describing the 6 C's. Okay, or may have been in my lounge, one of my lounge areas. And then I'll jump back on just to finish off and wrap this back up. So what I want to teach you now is what I call my 6 C's. My 6 C's are the golden rules to make sure you only ever buy world-class investment properties. And it took me till I bought 40 or 50 of these. Now, don't get me wrong, after my first 10, I committed to mastery. I started learning from experts and getting myself in the right place. And, you know, my number 10 to 50, I was doing all right. You know, by property 17, we were able to be financially free if we wanted to. We didn't know we need to work if we wanted to, etc. But I was still making mistakes. I was still buying the wrong houses, or they weren't performing anywhere near as they should. And it wasn't until I sat down and studied this in detail and really studied it that I came up with my 6 C's. And every house I've bought since, I've got over 200 in my portfolio, helped our clients to buy over 1,000, has to meet these rules. If it fails just one rule, it gets rejected. So what are the rules I hear you shouting? Well, here's rule number 1, capacity. C for capacity. Okay, what do I mean by that? If you're buying, these are the rules, by the way, for family-let properties. In video 3, I taught you a number of different strategies, okay, and I chose you to choose one. If your strategy isn't family-let, you need to go find out these rules, learn these rules from a master. I can teach you them, but I'm not doing it on this video. But learn the rules to make sure you buy world-class properties in that strategy. I'm covering right now family lets. So if we go for C for capacity, what do I mean by that? If you're going to get a family let off the nose of buy-to-let, you need it to be a 3 or a 4 bedroom house. Not a flat, not an apartment, not a 2-bed. People say, why not? You get a 1-bedroom flat, somebody moves in it, then they fall in love with someone in that 1-bedroom flat, they move out and move in with them. Okay? That's now a problem for you. You've got an empty property again. You get a 2-bedroom house, somebody moves in with 1 child, they get pregnant, they now are having another child, they need a 3-bedroom house, they move out. And you end up with what I call transiency and transient properties. On average, a tenant change costs you £1,500. That's £1,500 each time the tenant changes. If you lose the tenant once a year, over 10 years, that's a £15,000 problem. If you've got 10 of those properties, that's a £150,000 problem you've now created for yourself. Okay? All because you bought the wrong houses. If you buy the right 3 and 4 bedroom houses that meet the rest of my rules in a moment as well, and you get someone who says, do you know what, I want to live here forever. My mum lives down the road, my uncle, my auntie live up the road, my kids are at the local school, I want to live here forever. You get what I call a lifer. They may not stay forever, but they're going to stay long term. When the door handle breaks, a lifer fixes the door handle. Yeah? When the property needs painting, a lifer rings you up and says, can I paint it? You buy them the paint, they paint it, they decorate it. They stay for life. You don't get that transiency. At the Insight Group, our average tenancy is over 5 years because we buy the right houses. Okay? So we're not paying that £1,500 each year. It's every 5 years or more. And they've done the repairs along the way, so we've saved money along the way as well. So you need to make sure you're buying 3 and 4 bedroom houses. What's the second C? The second C is C for city. What do I mean by city? Well, let me give you an example.
And I'm going to give you a Yorkshire-based example. I used to live in Yorkshire. I'm in Wilmslow now, shooting this in Wilmslow in Cheshire. But I used to live in Yorkshire. And when I went out my front door, if I drove about 30 miles, I'd arrive in York. And whether you know York or not, you'll know it's a picturesque place, a cathedral and all that stuff. In York, for £150,000, you'll buy a 3-bedroom house, and it will rent for about £700 a month-ish. Okay? 3-bedroom house. If I went out my front door and went in another direction into Scarborough, North Yorkshire, with my £150,000 house money, I could buy 2 houses for £75,000 each. So I've spent the same amount of money, but I've got 2 properties now. 3-bedroom houses, and they rented out for £560 a month. So now I'm on £1120 a month income from my 2 properties, whereas in York I'm on £700 a month from my property. Now I know over time that properties go up the same. If York goes up 7% this year, next year Scarborough's going to go up 6 to 8%. If York goes down 2% this year, next year Scarborough will go down 1 to 3%. But over time they go up the same. So if over time my investments are going to go up the same, I know what I'd rather have in the meantime. I'd rather have the 1120 of rent rather than the 700 of rent. I'm making an extra 420 a month, which is an extra £5,000 a year while I wait for it to go up. Now, by the way, I'm not telling you to buy properties in Scarborough. There are often, out of the 400 or so we'll buy for our clients this year alone, probably only 5 or 10 will be in Scarborough. There's even better places often to buy. The point I'm making is don't buy just because it's local. Buy for the best return on investment. Get the best town and city that's going to get you the best financial return, and wrap that with an expert team that looks after it so it's a true investment. So you don't have the job of looking after it. So we've got a 3 or 4 bedroom house and we're buying it in the right town or city. What are the next 2 C's? The next 2 are C for capital and C for cash flow. We want capital growth at the table and we want cash flow at the table. You need both. Over time, here is what happens. Early 2000s in the UK, house prices are going up. Okay? Let's say we're in London. House prices are going up. We get to about 2007, 2008. While these house prices are going up, by the way, rents are still going up, but they're going up more slowly. 2007-8, people say, it's too expensive to buy, I'm going to rent. So the house prices slow or even drop a bit. And the rents start going up really, really fast. We get to about 2012. People go, this is crazy. It's more expensive to rent than to buy. So the housing market starts slowing. In terms of rental increases, they're still increasing but slower, and the house price starts booming again, 2012. We get to about 2020, before coronavirus, the London market starts slowing, still going up, but people going, it's more expensive to buy than rent, I'm going to rent, and the rents have started rising, okay? The point I want you to get is over time, they're both going up, they're not crashing back down, they're both going up. As an investor, I don't care what's happening today. I care that long-term assets go up in value. That's important. But in time, I've either got my asset going up in value, I can refinance it, draw money out and buy more or use it to have a fun time. But when the market's not going up in value, like at the moment with coronavirus, it's going to go down a bit, the rents are going up. Supply and demand, they have to either be buying or they're renting, so I make more cash flow profit. Either way, in every economy around the world, at all times, one or the other is going up. As an investor, I win either way. So if I'm in it for the long term, I know both are going to go up and I win either way in the meantime. So that's the beauty of this. So how do you make sure you get great capital growth? On average in the UK for the last 85 years, the property market has gone up on average at 7.9% per year. That's on average. That includes all the downturns, the drops, the falls, as well as the up periods. So if we can get national average, we're in an amazing place. So let's imagine we can't get national average. Let's imagine a model. If you're going to model more cautiously. Model at 4% or 5% to be cautious, okay? But we want to get the national average. How do you get the national average for capital growth? 5 core steps. Step 1, you buy in a town or a city. Minimum population, 80,000 people, okay? If you buy in a village and the local factory shuts down and 100 people lose their job, microeconomics kicks in, property market's not changing for the next 10 years, your money's stuck. So you want to buy in a town or a city, minimum population 80,000. Number 2, buy within 5 miles of the town or city centre. You can measure that by the town hall, the train station, I don't mind, okay? If it's Manchester, Birmingham or London, it's within 7 miles, but otherwise it's within 5 miles always. Number 3, by within 2 miles of a good or outstanding secondary school. So look at the Ofsted reports, it needs to be good or outstanding, you're within 2 miles and you're in the catchment area. Number 3, good public transport network. You know, in most towns or cities you've got that, bus, trams, trains, whatever it is, but you need to be within striking distance. Don't be the other side of the estate where it's 3/4 of a mile walk. Be within striking distance, good public transport network, and finally, good road network, which towns and cities have. If you meet those 5 rules, I can almost guarantee you'll get the national average as a minimum in terms of growth. And that national average isn't going to be great in the next 3-6 months, but if you learn the skill sets, I covered this in video 1, so that you start buying in 3 or 6 months' time, you're going to be buying at the right price point, then you're going to see the assets go up, and you're going to get great cash flow in the meantime. You might not get great cash flow in the next 3 months while we're all isolated, but once we're up and running again, great cash flow, great asset growth, okay? So that's how you get great capital growth. How do you get great cash flow? Very, very simple formula for you. When you're purchasing a property, let's say you're buying it for £100,000, you want the yield to be at least 7.2%. That means if you're buying it for £100,000, you want the rent to be at least £7,200 which per year, which is £600 a month. That's 7.2% of the 100k. At least £600 a month. If it's less rent than that for a £100,000 purchase, you run a mile. If it's that rent or more, you're happy to buy it. And then you do that pro rata. If it's a 200k property, it needs to be at least £1,200, etc. Now here's the thing. Here's the thing you need to consider. That's a very, very simple way of checking that out. If you want to check it out in a slightly more complex way, which is still really simple, you can take the rent that is coming in. So let's say the rent is £650 a month. You knock off the mortgage, you knock off the maintenance cost, you knock off the insurance cost. So in this example, let's say the mortgage was £300, the maintenance cost was £80 a month, and the insurance was £20. So I've got £400 of costs going out in total. £650 coming in, £400 going out. Okay? I've got £250 left. I've got to pay for my letting agent. My letting agent might be £70 a month. Let's say £80 a month. So if I take them off as well, I'm left with £170 a month. That doesn't sound like a lot, £170 a month, okay? But I'm going to be cautious with my mortgage rates. I'm going to be cautious with my refurbishment budget, cautious with my insurance. So that property might be making me about £300 a month, but I've modelled it cautiously, okay? And I'm covering it quickly now. I'll give you a lot more detail later on in this series. So if that property is making me £170 a month, and it was rented for 11 months of the year, let's say, at the end of the year, I'm going to have something like £1,800 in a bank, £1,900. If the property is empty in the 12th month, I've got enough money there to cover the rent for the 12th month. The £650 rent is covered by the profit I've made in the first 11. If you make sure every property you have meets that rule, so that the cash flow it generates, being cautious, times 11 is enough to cover month 12, I never have to put money in this deal again. Once I've bought the asset, it never costs me another penny ever again. How many of those assets would you like? Each month you pull the handle and cash comes out. It never costs you another penny again. You'd like as many as you can get. And then I'll teach you how to, once you've bought the house, get your money back out again to buy more with or go spend on a holiday and have fun with. Now you've got an asset that cost you nothing ultimately. You got your money back out and it makes you money every day for the rest of your life. This is what professional property investors do. This is what you can do if you follow these rules. Let's look at the 5th C. The 5th C is C for check. Most professional investors I know don't follow this C and they still make mistakes. The C for check means before you buy the house, check it will rent first. Check there's a demand for it. You run an advert on Zoopla, in the local paper to advertise the property you're thinking of buying. Of course, you can't show pictures of the very house because you don't own it yet. But you say, look, a 3-bedroom property, Nelson Street, double glazed, gas central heating, £650 a month. And you're checking how many phone calls you make. It's a numbers game. If within that first week you get 10 or more phone calls, people interested, you're going to go ahead and buy, as long as it meets all the other rules. If you get less than 10 phone calls, even if it's only 9, you might have the perfect 3-bedroom house in the right city, right cash flow, right capital growth, but you only get 9 calls. You're walking away. You're deselecting this property. It has to meet every single C fully, or you don't buy, because there'll be another house on the next town, the next street, that meets all the rules plus this one. So if you get just 9 calls, you're walking away. Here's what used to happen when I first bought properties. I used to buy a house, 5 people would call me interested, 3 people would view it, 1 person would want it. And I used to celebrate. I'd be like, I've got a tenant. In reality, they were the only human being out of 7 billion on the planet that wanted my miserable house. That's how rubbish my house was. Whereas if you run an advert and 20 people are interested, and 10 people view it and 5 people want it, same ratios, 5 people want it, now you can ask for bank statements, references, guarantors, the works. If that puts 1 or 2 of them off, fine, there's still 3 or 4 that want it. Now you're choosing the tenant, they are not choosing you. If that tenant then stops paying the rent or starts trashing your property, you'll deal with them ethically, but if they don't get caught up, you'll get them out. And you'll be totally confident you can re-let it. In my early days, I was scared to get them out. They weren't paying me, they were trashing my property, but I knew if I got them out, I might not get another one. So I stuck with the devil I knew instead of changing it. You've got to have good demand for your property, otherwise you should never buy it. Never buy it. Final piece, the 6th C, contingency. Do not invest in property and put every single penny you've got in the deal and leave yourself with nothing left. What if the boiler breaks? What if there's a problem? So in family let properties, whatever you're going to invest, keep 4.5% of it as a protection buffer. So if you're going to invest £100,000, you put 95,500 down and 4,500 stays in your rainy day bank account to protect the investment. If you're going to invest £50,000, it's still 4.5%. So 47,750 gets invested and 2,250 gets put in the rainy day bank account. You keep 4.5, if it's $1 million, you keep 45,500 to one side and you put the other 955,000 in. You make sure you're keeping 4.5% to one side to protect your investment. Then you've got your investment up and running. It's making you cash flow profit every month on top. Let's say you've got 3, giving you £200 a month each. It's going up £600 a month every month. Eventually, if a boiler breaks, you've got plenty there to pay for it. And this pot gets bigger and bigger, and then you can buy some more properties. And the properties go up in value, and you can release money from them, and you can buy some more properties. And then you get number 4. You haven't put any of your own money in now. Those 3 have paid for the 4th. Then the 4 go up in value and they make you all profit, and even faster you get number 5. And they go up and even faster you get number 6 because you bought to the right rules. Because you bought to the right rules. So these 6 C's are absolutely business critical. These 6 C's at the Insight Group, when we're investing, we will look at properties that come in with a 15% genuine market discount. And most investors would jump at that. Great, they've got a discount. Because of the other C's, we reject 59 out of 60 of those properties that other people would buy. We say, no, not good enough. And that's how rigorous I want you to be. Now, does this take some effort? Yeah. Does this take some time? Yeah. But you're only going to buy 8, 9, 10 of these babies. So you may as well buy the best ones and get them in your portfolio. And if you learn these skills over the next 2-3 months, so you lock this stuff down and get this stuff in your locker, then when the market is there, that people need your help, they need to sell, the builders need to sell, the people getting divorced or splitting up need to sell, the people who find out, when they need your help, you'll have the skill set to help them and to build that financial fortress for yourself.
Again, so I really, really hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you've really got those written down so you know exactly how to implement those to make sure you only ever buy world-class properties. This is vital. Only ever buy world-class properties. Okay, we've come a long way together, and there's still a lot that I would like to share with you so you can buy 2 to 10 houses in the coming property crash. So you cash in on the biggest discounts since 2009 without sacrificing time with your family or creating a second job for yourself. That's why I'd like to invite you to a live webinar that I'm running this Wednesday night. The webinar's called How You Can Build a Buy-to-Let Portfolio in the Coming House Price Crash, and how you can buy 2 to 10 houses without sacrificing time with your family. Now, here's just a taste of what you'll discover. Firstly, I'll cover why house prices will fall 5 to 10% in October, November, and when they will bounce back. Secondly, I'll show you how to turn 3 buy-to-let houses today into £70,000 plus per annum of income in only 7 years. And thirdly, I'll show you the one thing that you must do to buy more houses in the next 5 months than you have in the last 5 years. So what you need to do right now, look around this video for the link. It might be further down the page. Go click the link and register to join me live this Wednesday night. I look forward to sharing all of this with you and lots more. Go click the link right now. Stay safe, stay well, invest with knowledge, invest with confidence, create financial freedom. Go click that link right now. I'll see you soon. Thank you.